I used to be a pretty creative child. I used to write poems and little stories. I used to play the violin. I used to draw. I used to make jewelry with my cousin. I used to make dumb videos with my friends no one would ever watch again besides us 10 years later. Being creative was not something you had to make time for. It wasn't something that you had to force yourself to be in order to remain sane. It wasn't something you had to worry about. It didn't raise the questions, am I good at it? Is it worth it? Because it was never about questions. Creativity was a way of being. You didn't have to be good at it. You simply were there at that moment with a pen in your hand, or a sketchbook, or a violin, or colorful beads, or a phone with the camera quality of a dirty aquarium, and most of the time without a clue as to what you actually wanted to do with them. And you created, as easy as that. And the reason why being good or bad at it didn't matter was because that wasn't the way we measured our creativity. Our creativity wasn't as good as the art we made. It was good as long as we made it in the first place. I remember the first time I discovered what that was. I know, bear with me. I remember my first attempt at writing this god-awful young adult story. Mind you, I was in the sixth grade, which was the farthest thing away from being an adult. It was really bad. But the reason why I still write today and hopefully don't suck at it as much as I used to is because of that awful story. It's the reason why I know where to put the commas and the exclamation point. It is the reason why I know that you can't write one paragraph spanning over 6 pages if you're not Russian. If I was scared of not being good enough or not knowing enough, I would have never become better or, more importantly, never learned. It's really easy to lose your creativity in this fast-paced life we're all living. We got bills to pay, mouths to feed, and there isn't anything in this world for free. Writing doesn't pay us anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, we can try, but to survive we have to be realistic. So in this reality, we pay the price with our dreams. We choose a path for ourselves that is likely to make us money. Not only it's easy to lose our creativity, but it's also easy to forget that we had it in the first place. My vocabulary changed in college. I started saying that I wanted to become a teacher instead of an author because being an author wasn't a real job. It wasn't what people wanted to hear. It was also kind of hard to explain, not because it's complicated, but because I didn't really do it. I didn't have anything to show for it. I said it so many times that eventually the word author got erased from my vocabulary. It was until one day I wrote a poem. For hours, I looked at a paper trying to find the right words, repeating the same things over and over again to myself like some sort of maniac. That was the first time in years I was able to focus on something more than 5 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. It is called the flow state, where you lose your sense of time because you're so engaged with the task that you're doing. I didn't even know I was capable of focusing. I just accepted the fact that social media fried my brain and served it for dinner. I had nothing going up there. After watching life behind a cloud of thoughts for many years, I finally remembered what my dream was. Am I good at it? Am I bad at it? Is it gonna make me any money? All these questions became invalid because the act of creating was a cathartic experience. I quickly found the reason why I liked writing so much and why I wanted to become an author in the first place. A piece of paper was where I felt the most comfortable. It was a place I allowed myself to be without any filters or fears. Writing a poem was solving a puzzle in which a part of me was revealed. In a poem, you could be disguised as a swan, and to figure you out, people had to look closer. After that initial poem, I continued writing, and I felt the same every single time. I wasn't lost, or I wasn't pretending to be human. I simply forgot who I was, trying to fulfill everyone's expectations. The cloud was disappearing, and it became clear to me that to be, I needed to create. Many artists are either scared to create or are scared to call themselves artists for many reasons. We're scared to share what's sacred to us and is essentially us. We're scared that our art won't be liked and our creativity will go to waste. No one would judge an empty canvas or a blank paper. No one would hate a movie or a song that doesn't exist. And if you never create, it can never be bad. Yes, comfort means safety. But eventually you will write a poem. You'll sing a song or paint a scenery, draw a character, come up with a plot for your new scenario, and film a glimpse of something not perfect, but so like you that you will finally understand that the act of creating, the process of it all, the path we take is where we constantly find ourselves, and the art is where we reveal ourselves. So, despite all, you have to create. Create something you're scared to create despite the fear and the despair. You don't have to show it to anyone. Don't stress yourself out with perfection. You learn as you go. This world needs badly painted flowers, photos of the sky because you accidentally pointed the camera upwards while trying to film your friend. This world needs beginners and people who create for the sake of creating.